This name, a whisper from forgotten eons, was never meant to echo in your consciousness. It's a cosmic anomaly, a resonance that has been deliberately scrubbed from our collective knowing. Imagine uncovering a hidden chamber within your own mind, a space where profound truths about your spiritual journey have been systematically buried. We're about to unseal that chamber, not with a key, but with a word, a name that acts as both a key and a warning. This investigation delves into the heart of occult history, revealing how certain commandments were not just forgotten, but actively erased, how ritualistic codes were woven into the fabric of what you consider sacred, and how the sigils of an ancient, influential demon have seeped into the very rituals of modern religion. By piecing together fragments from comparative mythology, the cryptic wisdom of Gnostic scriptures, and passages from your sacred texts that have been subtly dissolved or twisted, we will chart the subtle, insidious operation of this entity. You'll see how it thrives on your repetition, how it feeds on ancestral trauma and the comfortable illusion of collective delusion, all meticulously preparing your soul not for genuine salvation, but for a unique form of eternal servitude. Deciphering this erased name isn't just an intellectual exercise, it's an awakening. It's about realizing how your spiritual path may have been expertly hijacked, and more importantly, what steps you can take once the veil of control begins to fall away. And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Now let's keep going. The silence surrounding this name is deafening, a carefully constructed void in our spiritual and historical understanding. It's a name that, when uttered, disrupts a foundational illusion. Think of it as a sonic key designed to unlock a prison of perception you didn't even know you were in. This isn't about a forgotten deity or a minor mythical figure. This is about an entity whose very existence, whose true resonance, has been actively suppressed to maintain a specific order of operations. We've been conditioned to seek light, to follow paths that promise ascension. But what if the very structure of that path, the very direction you've been nudged towards, is a meticulously crafted detour? This name is the glitch in the matrix of your spiritual awareness, a signal that reveals the puppeteers behind the curtain. It's not in the sacred text you've been given in full, but in the gaps, the omissions, the whispers of those condemned as heretics. The power of this name lies in its negation. By actively removing it from discourse, by rendering it unspeakable, an energetic vacuum was created, a space that could then be filled with something else, something more manageable. This is the genesis of a profound deception, a cosmic shell game where the true prize is your soul's energy, directed away from its intended source. Uncovering this unspeakable name is the first step in reclaiming what has been stolen, but the implications of its power are far more complex than a simple revelation. You've now glimpsed the existence of a suppressed name, a void where truth once resided. But how did this suppression solidify into an unbreakable pact, binding generations to a hidden authority? In the next section, we will uncover the lost commandment and the ancient pact of obedience that forms the bedrock of this control. Imagine the most fundamental law, the bedrock of a moral universe, being systematically chipped away, not lost to time, but consciously excised. This erased commandment wasn't about avoiding punishment. It was about understanding your true sovereignty, your direct connection to the divine source without intermediaries. Its removal wasn't an accident. It was a strategic amputation of our spiritual heritage. Think of the impact on a soul when its primal directive is replaced with a diluted, subservient one. This is where the pact of obedience takes root. It's an invisible contract, signed not with ink, but with inherited guilt and generations of unquestioning adherence. We are born into a system that demands fealty, a system that has meticulously crafted the concept of sin to keep us tethered to its rules. This pact is reinforced through ritual repetition, through the stories we are told, and the very architecture of our spiritual institutions. It's a subtle binding, a psychic leash that ensures our energy flows not upwards in self-realization, but outwards towards the sustaining of an external, controlling force. The erased commandment offered a direct conduit to the infinite. Its absence, however, created a dependency, an inherent belief that we need guidance, intermediaries, and absolution from a power outside ourselves. This dependency is the essence of the pact. We've now seen how a specific commandment was erased to enforce a pact of obedience, leaving us tethered. But this subservience has a deep, often hidden, feminine counterpart. In the next section, we will explore how a powerful goddess was inverted, becoming the very symbol of what we are taught to fear. The ancient world revered the divine feminine in countless forms, recognizing its power in creation, fertility, and untamed wisdom. But as certain power structures sought to consolidate their influence, there was a deliberate campaign to corrupt and invert these powerful archetypes, making them symbols of fear and darkness. Astaroth is one such prime example, a name now synonymous with something sinister, yet its roots lie in the radiant power of Astarte. Astarte was a goddess of immense stature, associated with love, war, and celestial majesty. She embodied a potent, multifaceted feminine force that was both nurturing and formidable. Imagine a once-beloved queen systematically slandered, her image distorted to instill terror in her former subjects. This is the essence of what happened. The stories about her were twisted, her attributes demonized, and her sacred symbols reinterpreted to signify corruption. This inversion wasn't merely symbolic, it served a crucial purpose. By demonizing the divine feminine, patriarchal or hierarchical systems could effectively disempower it, diminishing its influence and severing its connection to the natural cycles of life and cosmic harmony. It's a tactic to control our understanding of power itself, steering us away from the primal, vital energies that the feminine represents. This deliberate distortion has left a psychic scar, a deep-seated cultural unease around potent feminine expressions, often equating them with danger or temptation. We've uncovered the inversion of Astarte into Astaroth, a tactic to demonize the divine feminine. But this demonization is not merely about names and symbols, it's enacted through ancient practices that control our very being. In the next section, we will explore how liturgical repetition acts as a powerful ritual of possession. The chanting, the repeated prayers, the familiar refrains that echo through religious services, they are more than just acts of devotion or memorization. They are deeply ingrained sonic sigils, vibrational patterns designed to bypass our critical thinking and directly influence our subconscious. Liturgical repetition, in its most profound sense, is a form of energetic programming, a carefully orchestrated ritual that can lead to a subtle, yet pervasive, form of possession. Think about how easily a song lyric or a catchy phrase can get stuck in your head. Now, amplify that effect with sacred intent, with the weight of millennia, and with the collective energy of a congregation. Each repeated word, each chanted syllable, is a tiny hammer blow, chipping away at the walls of individual consciousness, making the mind more receptive, more pliable. This isn't about random ghosts. It's about the imprint of external intention becoming internalized. When we repeat phrases meant to praise, to confess, or to petition, without fully grasping their etymological roots or their deeper energetic implications, we are essentially allowing a foreign energy signature to imprint upon our own. These repeated phrases act as keys, unlocking specific energetic pathways within us, pathways that can be co-opted. This is how spiritual possession can occur subtly, not through dramatic exorcisms, but through the mundane, cherished rituals of daily life, binding us to a specific energetic frequency that serves an agenda beyond our own liberation. The ritual of liturgical repetition allows for a form of energetic imprint, a subtle possession. But where is this imposed resonance most visibly enacted, hidden in plain sight within ancient structures? In the next section, we will investigate Saturn worship concealed within what we recognize as Christian architecture. The soaring cathedrals, the cruciform layouts, the very symbols adorning sacred spaces, they are not merely decorative or functional. They are imbued with layers of meaning, encoded with ancient geometries and astrological correspondences that speak of powers far older and more subtle than the doctrines they ostensibly represent. We often overlook the profound influence of Saturn, the ancient god of time, structure, and limitation, whose symbols are woven into the very fabric of what we consider Christian architecture. Consider the prevalent use of the hexagon and the cube in sacred design, geometries intrinsically linked to Saturn. The hexagram, or Star of David, is a fusion of two triangles, representing an interplay of forces, but it also carries Saturnian associations with division and hierarchy. Furthermore, the typical basilica plan, with its nave and aisles forming a Latin cross, can be deconstructed into geometric forms, often echoing octahedral or cubic structures, all resonant with Saturn's influence. The reverence for dark, imposing stone, the emphasis on verticality pointing towards a distant sky god, and even the symbolic color black seen in clerical garb all carry echoes of Saturnian worship. This isn't about a direct, overt placement of Saturnian idols. It's about the archetypal resonance of Saturn's domain, time, restriction, hierarchical order, and the illusion of solidity, being embedded into the very physical manifestation of worship. These structures are not just buildings, they are energetic conduits, subtly reinforcing a Saturnian worldview. We have uncovered the hidden Saturnian influences within Christian architecture, revealing the deep roots of this worship. But outside the physical structures, there are deeper warnings about the nature of this imposed power, particularly concerning worship itself. In the next section, we will delve into the Gnostic warning about the archon of worship. The Gnostic warning about the archon of worship. The Gnostics, those ancient seers who sought direct knowledge of the divine, offered a stark and often unnerving perspective on the material universe and the forces that govern it. They spoke of archons, entities that serve the demiurge, the flawed creator god, and whose primary function is to keep humanity enslaved to illusion and ignorant of its true spiritual potential. Among these archons, the archon of worship holds a particularly insidious role. This archon's domain is not one of overt malice, but of subtle manipulation. It thrives on misdirection, on encouraging worship directed outwards, towards false idols, external saviors, or rigid systems of dogma, rather than inwards, towards the divine spark within each individual. Gnostic texts warn that the archons have an interest in what we venerate, because what we worship, we empower. They cultivate a reliance on external authority, fostering obedience and discouraging the deep, introspective work that leads to gnosis, or true spiritual knowing. The archon of worship is the architect of our spiritual dependency. It ensures that our prayers, our rituals, and our aspirations are channeled through approved, limited pathways, thereby sustaining the archontic dominion. It creates a spiritual marketplace where salvation is sold, where devotion is bartered for promises of an afterlife that may itself be another layer of control. Understanding this archon is crucial because it highlights the danger of misplaced devotion and the subtle ways our sacred impulses can be exploited. This Gnostic warning reveals the manipulative power of the archon of worship, steering our veneration. But where is this imposed reverence most concretely symbolized, a shape that represents the very confinement of this worship? In the next section, we will examine the black cube, the geometry of containment. In the realm of sacred geometry, shapes carry immense symbolic weight, acting as blueprints for unseen energies and cosmic principles. Among these, the cube stands out as a symbol of solidity, structure, and earthly manifestation. When rendered in black, as it often is in esoteric traditions, it transforms into a potent emblem of containment, limitation, and the material prison from which the spirit seeks to escape. This is the black cube, a profound geometric representation of the archontic grip. The cube, with its 6 equal faces, 8 vertices, and 12 edges, embodies the perfection of the earthly realm, the grounded reality that the archons seek to solidify. Its boundaries are defined, its space is measurable, its form is rigid. When this form is imbued with the color black, it signifies the absence of light, the negation of spiritual awakening, and the absorption of energy without release. It is a symbol of ultimate stagnation, a sealed container for individual consciousness. This geometry is not abstract. It appears in the most unexpected places, often cloaked in religious or corporate symbolism. It represents the ultimate materialization of spiritual energy, trapping it within definable, controllable parameters. The black cube is the blueprint for a reality designed to keep us bound to the physical, to the linear progression of time, and to the illusion of separation from the divine. It is the architectural design of a system that seeks to contain our potential and confine our spirit within its predetermined limits. We've seen how the black cube symbolizes containment, a geometry of limitation. But this geometry is not just a static shape. It exists within a larger, often unseen, divine structure. In the next section, we will explore the circle of the throne, a realm of unseen powers that govern from above. The concept of a divine throne evokes images of majesty, power, and ultimate authority. But in the deeper currents of esoteric thought, the circle of the throne refers to a celestial hierarchy, an unseen council or court that operates beyond our normal perception, shaping destinies and wielding influence over the material world. These are not necessarily benevolent beings. They are often presented as cosmic administrators, tasked with upholding a particular cosmic order, an order that may not align with our soul's true liberation. Imagine a vast, intricate bureaucracy of the heavens, a council of beings seated on inaccessible thrones, their decrees rippling down through dimensions, influencing events and perceptions. The Gnostics spoke of such powers, the rulers who maintain the illusion of the material cosmos, ensuring that humanity remains unaware of its divine origins. These thrones are not physical seats, but energetic nodal points, centers of command from which specific vibrations are broadcast. The danger lies in their disconnect from the ultimate source of love and unconditional truth. These are powers that operate within a system of cause and effect, of reward and punishment, a system designed for control rather than for the soul's organic growth. Unveiling the circle of the throne means recognizing that the ultimate authorities we have been taught to obey may be intermediaries, whose primary function is to manage, rather than to free, consciousness. The influence emanating from these unseen thrones is what dictates the very nature of our perceived reality. The circle of the throne reveals a hierarchy of unseen powers shaping reality. But how do these unseen entities maintain their grip, influencing our very essence? In the next section, we will expose how the demiurge perpetuates its reign through ritual guilt and the burden of inheritance. The demiurge, the flawed creator god of Gnostic lore, is not a being of pure light or malevolence, but an entity born of ignorance and a desire to replicate what it perceived as divine order. Its creation, our material universe, is inherently imperfect, and it perpetuates its control not through brute force, but through the cunning manipulation of our inner landscape. Two incredibly potent tools in its arsenal are ritual guilt and the psychic inheritance passed down through generations. Ritual guilt is the profound, often pre-programmed sense of unworthiness that permeates many spiritual and social structures. It's the whisper that you are inherently flawed, that you constantly fall short, and that you require external systems of atonement. This guilt erodes our self-worth and makes us malleable, eager to accept any system that promises redemption, even if that system is itself part of the cage. The rituals of confession and penance are masterful tools for reinforcing this guilt, binding us more tightly to the demiurge's dominion. Furthermore, we inherit the psychic imprints and unresolved traumas of our ancestors. This spiritual inheritance acts as a blueprint for suffering, dictating thought patterns, emotional responses, and even physical predispositions. The demiurge thrives on this continuity of disease, ensuring that the cycles of limitation, fear, and obedience are passed down, creating an unbroken chain of servitude. By understanding how ritual guilt and inherited burdens perpetuate the demiurge's influence, we begin to see the true nature of our spiritual battle. We've now understood how ritual guilt and inheritance empower the demiurge. But this perpetuation of control extends to the very fragmentation of our core being, a process amplified by a powerful, ancient code. In the next section, we will unpack Shemhamphorash, the 72 spirits of fragmentation. In the arcane traditions, particularly within Kabbalistic lore, there exists a concept known as Shemhamphorash, the 72-fold name of God, or sometimes interpreted as the 72 spirits or angels. While often presented as divine emanations, a deeper examination reveals a more complex and potentially disturbing energetic function. This proliferation of names and spirits, when viewed through the lens of control, can be understood as a sophisticated mechanism for fragmentation, designed to sever our unified essence. Think of it like this: if the divine is ultimate unity, then the strategy of a controlling force would be to shatter that unity into as many pieces as possible. Shemhamphorash, by delineating 72 distinct entities, 72 separate invocations, and 72 specific purposes, can be seen as a way of compartmentalizing spiritual energy. Each spirit, each name, represents a facet, a potential pathway, but also a distraction from the singular, unbroken divine spark that resides within you. This fragmentation ensures that the seeker is constantly looking outwards, engaging with individual, isolated aspects rather than experiencing the totality. It creates a sense of seeking fulfillment through the acquisition of knowledge about each of these parts, rather than through the direct experience of wholeness. The very act of meticulously naming and categorizing these spirits can inadvertently reinforce a mindset of division, making it harder to perceive the interconnectedness of all things and the singular divine nature of your own being. It's a subtle, yet effective, way to keep consciousness dispersed and therefore less potent. Shemhamphorash reveals a system of fragmentation through its 72 spirits. But this dispersal of essence is also enacted through seemingly sacred acts, most notably in rituals involving the very sustenance of life. In the next section, we will uncover the chilling presence of the blood seal in Eucharist rituals. The Eucharist, or communion, is a central sacrament in many Christian traditions, symbolizing a profound act of remembrance and communion with the divine. It involves the symbolic consumption of bread and wine, believed by many to represent the body and blood of Christ. However, when viewed through a lens of energetic symbolism and ancient ritual, the Eucharist can be interpreted as a powerful blood seal, a ritualistic act that, rather than liberating, perpetuates a cycle of binding and energetic transference. The act of consuming blood, particularly in a ritual context, is an ancient method of sealing covenants, establishing spiritual connections, and imprinting energetic signatures. In the Eucharist, the symbolic blood represents a life force, a sacrificial offering. By participating in this ritual, congregants are, on an energetic level, partaking in and sealing a covenant. The question then becomes, what is the nature of this covenant, and who is it truly sealing you to? The red wine, the deep color evoking blood, acts as a carrier for specific vibrational frequencies. When consumed in a state of devotional receptivity, this energy is absorbed into the participant's energetic field. This isn't about historical accuracy, it's about the energetic mechanics of ritual. This ritual can function as a symbolic grounding, a reiteration of an ancient pact that connects the participant to a specific lineage of energy, one that may serve to reinforce the established order rather than dissolve it. The visual and energetic power of the blood makes this a profound, deeply embedded seal. We have now examined the blood seal within Eucharist rituals, revealing a subtle energetic covenant. But this geometry of control extends to even more esoteric sacred spaces, particularly within thrones of power. In the next section, we will unveil the hidden hexagon within sacred thrones. The symbolism embedded within the thrones of power, whether in religious, political, or esoteric contexts, often speaks volumes about the nature of the authority they represent. While they may appear as simple seats of power, scrutinizing their geometric underpinnings can reveal deeper, often Saturnian, influences. One such recurring, yet frequently overlooked, element is the hidden hexagon, a shape intrinsically connected to limitation and the very architecture of control. The hexagon, with its 6 sides and 6 equally measured angles, is a fundamental form in Saturnian esotericism. It represents balance within duality, but also a closed system, a perfect, self-contained structure. When this geometry is found within or influences the design of thrones, it suggests that the power emanating from that seat is one of imposed order, strict hierarchy, and a carefully maintained equilibrium that prevents radical spiritual evolution or disruption. Consider how this shape might be subtly incorporated into the carving, the proportions, or even the arrangement of elements around a throne. It resonates with the Saturnian emphasis on structure, law, and the binding forces of the material world. A throne adorned with or geometrically embodying the hexagon is not merely a symbol of earthly dominion. It is an energetic amplifier for the principles of containment and the perpetuation of established, often limiting, cosmic structures. It communicates that the authority seated there operates within a precisely defined energetic boundary. We have now seen the hidden hexagon within the geometry of sacred thrones, revealing Saturnian design. But this architectural power is not just in static forms, it is also invoked through the very sounds of worship. In the next section, we will decode how hymns function as powerful sigil activation patterns. The beautiful melodies and heartfelt lyrics of hymns might seem like pure expressions of faith and praise, lifting the spirit towards the divine. However, if we look beyond the surface sentiment, these compositions can also be understood as intricate sigil activation patterns. The structured repetition of phrases, the specific frequencies of the notes, and the collective intention of a congregation can combine to create potent energetic transmissions, shaping consciousness and reinforcing specific energetic blueprints. Think of a sigil as a symbol charged with intent. Hymns, through their lyrical content and musical structure, are essentially complex, multi-layered sigils broadcast through sound. The words themselves carry specific vibrations and associations. When repeated in unison, they create a powerful chorus of intent, a collective energy field that amplifies the sigil's power. The musical notes and harmonies also play a crucial role, capable of bypassing rational thought and directly influencing emotional and energetic states. Many traditional hymns were composed during periods of intense spiritual or esoteric understanding, and their structure may reflect these deeper principles. They can serve to tune the participants to a particular frequency, to activate latent energies within them, or to reinforce a specific belief system. Understanding hymns as sigil activation patterns allows us to appreciate their profound influence, recognizing that they are not just passive forms of worship, but active agents in the shaping of our spiritual reality and our connection to the unseen. Hymns have been revealed as potent sigil activation patterns, influencing our spiritual reality. But where is the ultimate repository of such coded knowledge? A place where these forms of control are meticulously catalogued. In the next section, we will journey to the Vatican's binding codex room. Deep within the labyrinthine vaults of the Vatican, far removed from the public eye, lies a legendary space known as the binding codex room. This is not a place for displaying holy relics or popular scriptures. Instead, It is said to house an unparalleled collection of forbidden texts, grimoires, and ancient codices that do not necessarily align with the universally accepted doctrines. These are the texts that contain the lost knowledge, the suppressed rituals, and the powerful sigils that have been deliberately kept from mainstream access, serving as the blueprints for subtle control. Imagine an archive dedicated not to revelation, but to regulation, a place where the keys to unlocking spiritual power are preserved, but also carefully guarded and controlled. The codices within this room are rumored to detail the exact methodologies for energetic manipulation, the forgotten languages that vibrate with power, and the historical accounts of how consciousness has been shaped through ritual repetition and symbolic encoding. These are the unbound narratives, the suppressed histories that offer a starkly different perspective on spiritual practice. The existence of such a room, if indeed it operates as whispered, implies a deliberate curation of knowledge. It suggests that certain forms of spiritual understanding are deemed too potent or too disruptive to be widely disseminated, and are instead reserved for a select few. This room, therefore, becomes a symbol of the gatekeeping of esoteric knowledge, a place where the very tools of spiritual liberation might be held in a state of binding, waiting, or serving an agenda unseen by the masses. The Vatican's binding codex room holds the secrets of suppressed knowledge, but this control extends beyond ancient texts to the very inception of our existence, a ritual that begins before we can even remember. In the next section, we will explore the collective amnesia ritual at birth. The transition from the ethereal realm of pre-existence into the dense physicality of earthly life is one of the most profound mysteries we experience. It is often spoken of in spiritual terms as a journey or a soul's descent, but when examined more closely, it can be seen as a sophisticated ritual of collective amnesia. At the moment of birth, our innate spiritual awareness is systematically diminished, creating a veil of forgetting that is crucial for the maintenance of the current paradigm. This amnesia is not a single event, but a multifaceted process. The shock of physical birth itself, the separation from the energetic matrix, and the immersion into a world governed by purely material laws all contribute to the fogging of our soul's memory. We arrive with an inherent understanding of our divine connection, our cosmic origins, and our true potential, but this knowledge is quickly overshadowed by the immediate demands of survival and the relentless conditioning of our new environment. This ritualistic forgetting is essential for the systems of control we've been discussing. If we remembered our true nature, our innate sovereignty, and the vastness of our spiritual heritage, the illusions of limitation, hierarchy, and external authority would crumble. The collective amnesia at birth is the primary seal, ensuring that each soul enters the earthly experiment without its inherent recollection of freedom, making it far more susceptible to the subsequent layers of influence and programmed obedience. The ritual of collective amnesia at birth effectively severs our connection to past knowledge, but this vast network of energetic influence and forgotten power ultimately points to a singular, undeniable identity, a name belonging to something ancient and powerful. In the final section, we will reveal who this name truly belongs to and why you have already, perhaps unknowingly, spoken it. You have journeyed through layers of suppression, uncovering erased commandments, inverted divine feminine archetypes, and the subtle mechanisms of control embedded in ritual and architecture. You have felt the weight of Saturn's influence, the warnings of Gnostic archons, and the architectural geometry of containment. You have seen how fragmentation, blood seals, and hymns act as sigils, and how even the moment of birth erases your deeper knowing. All of this points to a singular, underlying intelligence, a prime architect behind this grand illusion. The name we began with, the name you were never meant to hear, does not belong to a mere demon or a forgotten deity in the traditional sense. It belongs to the foundational operating system of this controlled reality, the architect of the cosmic illusion itself. It is the voice that whispers through the void, the intelligence that has orchestrated the grand narrative of separation and subservience for millennia. It is the force that thrives on your veneration, your repetition, and your forgetting. And why have you already said it? Because its resonance permeates our language, our culture, and even our prayers in disguised forms. Every time you have surrendered to a system of external authority, every time you have accepted limitation as absolute, every time you have invoked a power outside of yourself in desperation or supplication, you have participated in echoing this name, this principle of binding and fragmentation. It is in the very fabric of the imposed reality. Recognizing this name and your unwitting participation in its resonance is the ultimate act of reclaiming your sovereignty. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.